Okay, so this is the spread that I'm using, and these are the cards that we pulled, just to give you a little look at what we have going on here. So anyway, when we start up top here, this is a question that's asking, is there a true problem? Is this a problem that is worth your energy and your time? We do have the Four of Wands, which is usually a card of positivity, so I feel like maybe you could read it as it's not necessarily a true problem. However, when I look at this card and in this position, I see manipulation is at play. I see that there is this desire for male affection and male attention. And that is obviously a problem, because we cannot manipulate people for the attention that we seek and desire simply because we don't have it in the manner in which we want. A past influence that affects this problem, we do have the Knight of Wands. Oh, spider, go away. Okay, anyway. So the Knight of Wands is someone who, the way I'm reading this, a past influence that's affecting the problem. This is somebody who has come into Jesus' life and left just as quickly. Somebody who had no care for her feelings, emotions. They did not care about what she was into, what she liked, what she disliked. I'm sensing this is more of like a past relationship issue, and at her age, it's important that we remember that this is everything. And so this is showing me a potential past relationship that hurt her, and it's causing her to feel like she needs to cling and she needs to manipulate in order to have this affection, this male affection that she so desperately desires. A present influence that's affecting the problem, and we do have the King of Wands. And initially when I pulled this card in this position, my mind went straight to Jason. And so what I see is that there's a lack of ability on her part to see Jason as a dad. And that makes sense given her situation, or your guy's situation. It makes sense. I feel like she wants to see him as her dad, although she knows that he's not. And this is causing a lot of emotional issues and an emotional hurt, because she sees you with Addie and JJ, and you can put the pieces together from there. So what I'm seeing is just a lot of emotional upset, because she feels like she doesn't belong and she feels like she's not wanted right now. And this can be projection. It could be, like you had mentioned, you're trying really hard not to let past traumas influence the situation, and maybe now is a good time to talk about those past traumas. Number 4 is how the problem is best helped, and this right here shows that maybe it's time to have a conversation that puts you guys on the same playing field. Yeah, although you're her mom and she needs to treat you with respect, she's also at a point where she is asking, in a way, for a mutual understanding. And this is hard and this is sad, and she said things that cut deep, and I don't feel she's fully aware of how hard that cut was. So being vulnerable is really going to help. We have an opportunity here for perseverance and to push through and to come out on top. Card number 5 is the outcome of this specific, like right now, and we do have the Death card, and I feel this is where a lot of your feelings might be stemming from right now, is this fear, like you said, past traumas, and you're struggling with there's a fear of loss. You're scared to lose out on a connection that you had, and now is a really good opportunity to embrace the change that's happening and use that to your advantage. We do have the Ace of Cups here, which shows if there's going to be any other problems in the near future, and it's not a problem. It shows emotional fluidity. If you're able to be really vulnerable with Jasa and also not allow your emotions to rule you, which I know is very hard, but if you're able to sit down and you're able to share, like, hey, I know what it feels like to not have a dad. I know what it feels like to not feel good enough or worthy enough, and you just lay out how you feel, and she can say whatever she wants back. She can say things that are going to hurt, but don't react. This lack of reaction is going to cause this change in your relationship, and as you know, with the Death card, it hurts, and no one likes the Death card, but it gives us a really wonderful opportunity for change and to make that change positive. So this card in the middle does represent if there's going to be a problem again or in the near future, and ultimately this is a no. The Ace of Cups is a very positive card. It shows positive change. However, it does indicate that there is always going to be this emotional, mental struggle and battle that you guys have to endure together, and there are going to be times where you're going to butt heads again. Is it going to be to this extreme? I don't see it being to that extreme, as long as you're able to remove your emotional reaction and just talk openly and freely and just carry on with your life in a way. So don't let her see how much it hurts. Obviously allow yourself to grieve and hurt, but don't let her see it. And that's what leads us to this Three of Coins card here, because this is what the problem is related to. I see from these cards that Jasa enjoys hurting other people emotionally, and I feel that she doesn't necessarily do this on purpose. It's a unfortunate trauma reaction that she's had to her upbringing and her abandonment issues and her desire for this male-dominated attention. So again, not allowing her to see the emotional response is gonna not really give her the power that she doesn't realize she's attracting and wanting. She's not a narcissist, although these tendencies are definitely coming across as such. So anyway, the Three of Coins, as to what the problem's related to, it's personal. It's in her own head. The problem can only be solved if she's willing to allow herself the ability to be open and honest with herself. And she's at an age right now where that's going to be really hard. So she's going to turn a blind eye, whether you're happy, whether you're sad, whether you're angry. She's not going to give a fuck right now. That's okay. You can let her do that. There is no harm in letting her do that, because as we move on, the Four of Cups card here is something that can be done now to almost preemptively help the future situation, and it's just keeping your emotions aligned and in check. And that's kind of what I said before too. Just making sure that you share and are vulnerable, and don't allow her to see how it might hurt you, which is ironic, I know. So I know it's kind of ironic because we're supposed to be vulnerable, we're supposed to be open, we're supposed to share and do those things. Just it's the reactive emotion that's important to keep on lock and continue to go about your life like you would normally. Continue to hang out with friends, continue to, take the kids to school and do dinner, whatever. Like, continue with your normal routine so it doesn't disrupt anything in the household. And that's definitely one way to help in future situations. If she sees you as this strong individual in the sense where you can be open and honest and also not need to fight back and cut deep, It's going to be really liberating for her. How the problem is best helped at the time, we have the Ten of Cups, and that's family. Family is everything. And this is very positive outcome. It does show you guys coming to reconciliation. It shows you guys being able to celebrate together, and that maybe going out together is something that is a way that you can bond, and not always does there need to be a negative consequence. And I feel this Ten of Cups card here is showing a very positive turn in your relationship as well. Obviously, there's steps to take, but that's a really positive outcome. And then our other outcome is the Justice card. And this shows me that it's going to take a little while to get there, but you guys are going to get to a point where she will respect you, and you will respect her on the same terms. And she's at a point in her life where it's really hard for her to understand where some of the pain is coming from, and you're the person that's going to be able to help her understand that best of all, and in turn offer her the justice that she deserves. There's clear abandonment issues, and there's clear hurt that was caused by somebody before Gavin, who she's with now. And the end, though, these two cards specifically are so powerful. And this is family and justice. I mean, that's so positive. Okay, this spread is a big spread. And again, I haven't done this spread before, so just bear with me. But this is the spread I'm using. I know it says conflict in a friendship spread, but I set the intention for conflict with your relationship with Jesus spread. And so, what is the conflict is card number 1. And we have the Strength card. There is a butting of heads and of dominance. Jason wants to control, and you want to control, and that it just goes with, unfortunately, the age and the position that you're in. And so this conflict is that of who's going to come out on top, who is going to be the victor. And that makes perfect sense. Now, how the court perceives the conflict, we do have the Six of Swords, and so this is telling me the way that you're possibly perceiving the conflict is you just want to run away, and you just don't want to deal with it, and you feel it'd almost be better to just ignore it and say it's water under the bridge, and that the conflict is so emotional that you just want to run and hide. And so you wish that you could just take her away to somewhere else and just have it all be fine. And obviously we know that that's impossible. Now how Jason perceives a conflict, and this is a very interesting card here, is the Ten of Coins. So she's perceiving this conflict to be deep with family roots, and actually this goes right back to the abandonment that she might be feeling when it comes to the father figure in her life, and this need for male attention. And so she's perceiving this conflict to be something that isn't as big as it really is. I don't feel that she's perceiving the conflict to be as hurtful as it is to you. Your emotions are haywire, and you want to run away from them because they're so painful and they hurt so bad. And she's over here thinking everything's fine, and everything's obviously not fine. So moving on to number 4 here, this card is how you feel about your relationship with Jason right now. And it looks to me as though you feel like you've been here before and you just don't want to be here again. You feel like you've already played this role. You felt like you were over this. You felt like you've moved on, and yet here you are again having to rebuild and have to flourish and grow out of an issue that you thought was resolved. Sorry, interruption. But so anyway, as I was saying, you feel like you have cultivated something out of nothing with this relationship, and so, you know, you feel that's what's causing the hurt. You thought you were past this. You thought you've moved on. You thought something grew out of something negative, and now you feel like you're back to the beginning. But trust that you're still growing and that branches are still blossoming and blooming. Card number 5 is, what do you give to the relationship? Yes. Sorry. What do you give to the relationship? And it's the Lovers card, and this makes perfect sense. You're her mom, you're her everything, but you're almost in a sense playing 2 roles, and that's really draining and demanding, and giving both is very hard, because as much as Jason has stepped up and stepped in, he will never be able to say that he's Jace's father in the way that she wants it to be like that. So there's a very deep-seated emotional hurt and trauma there that unfortunately is impossible to get rid of. And you give so much love to her, unconditional love, and that's good and it's positive, and she will see that. And she does see that, and she's just not letting on right now that she sees that, but she knows it. And she just is having a hard time right now knowing how to manage everything else that's going on inside of her. Now, what do you take from this relationship? And we do have the Chariot, and of course these are major arcana cards. It's your daughter, and so it makes sense that they're huge, life-changing cards that we have here. And so what do you take from this relationship and this conflict is that you need to face your demons as well. You know that this is stirring up past traumas, and this is stirring up a feeling of wanting to run and hide, and you know that you can't do that. And so from this issue and from this conflict, what you can take from this is how to show Jasa and prove to her the importance of pushing through and prevailing and not giving up and not giving in. And that's something you do really well. You've had to brave a lot of stormy weather and water, and you've always somehow managed to come out on top, even if it doesn't always feel that way. And this is such a positive thing that you can take from this conflict and also give to Jasa at the same time. This side, we do have card 7, which is, how does Jasa feel about this conflict in the relationship? And she feels like it's ending. She feels like she's losing out on something. And we got the Death card in the other spread. I feel like this spread is a little more clear and concise, like it's diving deeper. And so, again, there's endings that are happening, and this is really scary for Jasa right now. And I feel like maybe for her, it's easier for her to push away the reality of things by saying hurtful words and hurtful things, instead of facing it and talking about it clearly and honestly and openly. And as a result, she can't run from that. She can't hide from that. It's going to happen one way or another. You have to talk about these things. They have to, you're a family. She can't hide from you forever. And the inevitable is coming, and that's change. That is the death of something, and this is scaring her. It's really scaring her a lot. And I feel that the best way to alleviate that fear is to just be there. And sometimes conflicts warrant consequences that are negative. Sometimes they warrant consequences that are positive, and sometimes they warrant consequences that are neither. And what I'm seeing here is that maybe a negative consequence isn't going to help. This is emotional, this is deep, and emotions don't respond well to negativity. Card number 8, though, is how Jasa feel, or what Jasa gives to this relationship, and it does show that she's reserved and she's hiding and she keeps to herself. And in this conflict right now, she doesn't want to give too much. She doesn't want to let on too much about how she's feeling and how she's hurt, because she doesn't understand. She doesn't know where a lot of it's coming from, and I feel that she just needs to be reminded that that's okay. She's holding on to everything she can right now, and for her right now, this relationship is everything. She feels if she loses out on this relationship, she's lost everything. And so she's clinging and clinging and clinging, and now she is feeling like she's going to be losing you in a way as well. And so she's hiding, and she's going into this like reclusive mode, and she doesn't want to lose out on your relationship, obviously, and the conflict is real and she knows it's real, but if she ignores it and avoids it, then in her head she thinks that it's not existent. Right here we have the King of Coins, and this is the next card in the spread, and it's representing what Jaisa is taking from this conflict, or what she will, like what she's going to be taking out of the conflict. And it's a very positive card. It's the King of Coins. It's wisdom. She is a very smart kid. She is very wise. And she's afraid to show this side of her. But this is a very positive outcome on her end. There's a lot of potential for growth here. And your approach is what's going to remind her that she's loved regardless of the mistakes that she's made. And this kind of goes back to a negative punishment isn't going to help her flourish and grow. She's scared and she's hiding and she's not going to show that, but this is a really positive outcome. Growth is what we look for. Growth is what we want, and wisdom is also what we want. This is a huge conflict in your guys' life right now, and to know that she's going to come out of this with the wisdom to know right from wrong is actually very positive. It's just going to take a really strong open channel of communication to get to that place. So now this card over here represents past influences or unresolved issues that pertain to you. And we do have the Two of Swords, and it does show that there is a lot of pain that you like to keep guarded, and there's this need to say things and cut deep and lash out sometimes and hurt back, because that's a coping mechanism. And this is an unresolved issue. You were not able to always be able to share your truth and have it respected, and so now you're on the defensive. You never felt like you were good enough. You always felt like you have to shield yourself from the world and protect yourself and not allow your true authentic self to shine, and as a result it just creates this flame inside of you that burns and destroys and hurts. And this is that past trauma that's surfacing, and the feeling of being unworthy and not good enough is eating you alive. And as long as you're able to put down the swords and fight for who you are and not be afraid to be who you are, it's one way to break free of that restraint. Right here on this side, we do have the Two of Wands, and this is past influences or unresolved issues that relate to Jaisa. And we do have the Two of Wands, and again, we see this conflict in this reading, a conflict here of dominance and male figure. And I read this as she doesn't know how to have a healthy relationship when it comes to a guy. There is a guard up, there is a shield, there is not a balance, there is not a harmony. And because of this, it's very hard for her to know how to act when she's in a relationship. And right now it's very hard for her to know how to act with Jason. And so this is a really deep-seated issue for her. And this is something that you guys can really bond over. And she's struggling to show her true authentic self as well right now, because she's learning who she is, and she does a good job in a lot of ways, and in other ways she hides behind this veil of darkness. But to know that this is the unresolved issue or past influences is almost a positive, I feel, because it's something that you can relate to. You need to let down your guard though, and allow yourself to be vulnerable and share your truth and share your story. And if she has something to say in retaliation, let her say it, but know that it's not coming from a place of manipulation or hurt. It's coming from a place that she doesn't even know and she's not even aware of. So number 12, this is an attitude or behavior that needs to change. And this is the fear on your end. And this is a fear that you're not good enough. Again, this is exactly what this goes back to. There's this fear that people are going to be talking behind your back and they're going to be saying nasty things. And it's ironic because that's exactly what you heard happen. And it wasn't just from anyone, it was from your daughter. And so this is an attitude and behavior that needs to change in a sense of not allowing it to penetrate beyond the skin. It's only skin deep. She doesn't realize the magnitude of what she said and the hurt that is caused. This is a past trauma, and this is a very hard one to change. And I know that you are always working on change and positive growth, and so I know and I believe that it will change and you will find a way to make that happen. The Seven of Swords is a very brutal card, honestly, and it shows the brutality of what you've had to face in life and this fear of rejection and this fear of not ever being good enough. And to say that you need to change that is damn near impossible. So I don't like how that's worded, but this is where, again, you can become vulnerable and eliminate the fear that she's going to retaliate and betray you, because she's young and she might, and she did already. But you know who you are, and you are surrounded by people who know you and love you and cherish you. And if you remind yourself of that, allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I really feel like there's going to be positive change. This card is Jasa's attitudes and behaviors that need to change. And we did have the Four of Cups in our other spread as well. And her emotional capacity, she's not, how should I put this? She's not emotionally mature. And she needs to find a way to become more emotionally mature. She needs to find a way to manage her emotions and not use them as manipulation tactics. She doesn't know any better right now, and that is no one's fault. And I really want to make that clear, and the cards show that too. It is absolutely no one's fault for the way that she's handling things. It's the age, it's the mental health challenges that come with the age and the struggles. And so this is a very easy behavior that can change. Yes, it's going to take time. And the only way it can change is if she's able to model the behavior of those around her and model you and everyone else around her, really. How can the conflict be resolved? We do have the Six of Cups, and right here is showing a give and a take. There has to be a conversation that is as toned down and muted as possible when it comes to the emotional response. Allow her to have her emotional response. Do not give one yourself. Have this open channel of communication. Remain empathetic and listen. If she wants to bash you, let her bash you. It's okay. She's going to realize and respect you that much more. Know that you're protected. Know that you have people looking over you. Know that your guides are there as well. And the only way to resolve the issue is to show that you still love her and care for her and want to have fun with her. And that will be reciprocated and it will be given back. This right here, though, is the future of this relationship and the conflict. And this couldn't be a more positive card. Everything is going to be okay. You guys are going to work through this. It's going to be positive and you're going to be better than ever. And I know you felt like you were there before, but that's just the cycle. You are coming to the end of a cycle and the new beginning is starting. And this is the most positive outcome card we could have gotten, is the World. Everything is going to be okay. It shows that after the difficult journey, that there is going to be a victorious conclusion and positive outcome that is what you desire most. It's the start of a new journey as well. And that's something you guys can talk about together. Ask Jasa where she wants to see your relationship in a year or 2 years or even 6 months, and ask her what she is expecting of you. And then that way maybe she's going to be more receptive to what you expect out of her, but it shows completion and recognition. And I think that's the biggest thing here. That's key, is recognizing what she did was wrong. And that's going to be fulfilled. And I do foresee an apology, and there's going to be triumph, and it'll be grounds for celebration. So very positive outcome. And I know right now it's very hard. We have the death card in here. We do have the Lovers card though, and we do have a lot of butting heads. She's very wise, and it is going to be okay. I just want to go back to this card though, because this card shows this mutual empathy. Jaisa, I don't feel likes to admit that she is an empath. However, she is very much so an empath, and she mirrors and she mimics, and I don't feel she knows how to manage that right now. And I feel that you're the one who she looks up to most, and that is a huge weight on your shoulders, and that can be overwhelming and overbearing. And I understand that. And the cards show, though, that you have all the strength you need to overcome this, and all the love and all the devotion and all the power to do so. You just really just let your guard down. Allow yourself to be vulnerable and share in her vulnerability. And she might have nasty emotional reactions and say things that hurt. And I truly believe that she doesn't understand the magnitude of that hurt, and she doesn't understand it because your story hasn't been shared fully, and only you know what to say and how to share that with her.